Welcome back to Formula for Average. The summer break is over and Formula 1 is back with another race, this time in Netherlands, in Zandvoort, unfortunately, for the last time, for the foreseeable future at the moment. Who knows, maybe in the future it will come back, but at the moment this was the last Dutch Grand Prix, and it didn't go so well for Max Verstappen, unfortunately. And straight into topics that came through during the break. Of course, we have to mention it. A couple of drivers extended their contracts. Of course, Verstappen, which was the biggest news, I guess. He is now committed to Red Bull until 2030. So relatively long-term still contract extension. So it means that himself and probably his team and his support team has now a belief in the team that they can take the car back to the top. I guess it was one of the biggest questions, where will Verstappen end up, because I believe his contract was originally signed until 2028, but there was always this rumor that he's not happy with the team, that the performance is not there, that he has some exit clauses in his contract, so he might leave. And now he has extended the contract, obviously, and I think it's a pretty big sign that at least he sees that there is a good future in the team, that the team is doing a good development, and he believes that they can come back to the top. And but yeah, it did not show in the Zandvoort, unfortunately. We'll discuss it, of course, later. But yeah, his main race did not end so well. Well, it ended very soon and very bad, actually. But the other two drivers who announced their extension of the contracts was Albon and Sainz, both committed to Williams. This one is tough in a sense that, of course, the Williams season is not going well, and they are not where they want to be, and that's obvious. And I guess I understand for Albon. I've never seen any other, let's say, team where he could land at the moment. But for Sainz, it's there has to be something that we are not seeing. Why he agreed to commit to stay in Williams? Yes, in the interview he said that he is not abandoning the ship, let's say, during the middle of the project, and this is a long-term relationship, and so on and so on. I get that. However, the results are not there, and 2026 was basically the season for Williams to come back to the top, and they have done quite the opposite. We remember in 2025, Sainz, I believe, got 2 podiums for Williams, and it seemed that everything was going in the right direction, and then 2026 came and everything went to hell. So now that he's extending his contract with Williams, for the team, of course, it's a great sign and a good sign. For Sainz himself, I'm not so sure, to be honest. Yeah, of course, time will tell. Maybe I'm wrong, but yeah, I believe that unfortunately for Sainz, he's in the situation where the top 4 teams, they do not need any, let's say, drivers at the moment, at least. And for the foreseeable future, they might not need a new driver. And the bottom, let's say, 7 teams, is Williams the best choice? Maybe, but like, what do I know, right? So if he's committing, then probably there is a reason for that. So in that sense, good luck to Williams. I really would like to see them more on the top part of the timing sheets. At the moment, does not seem possible. And also here in Zandvoort, they once again show that they just don't have the pace, and they are not strong at the moment. So yeah, it is what it is for them. And then before this weekend, of course, we had the big news that Isaac Hadjar has injured his wrist, so he was out of this weekend. He is not able to compete. It's not still clear if he's gonna compete in 2 weeks in Monza. So he was replaced by Liam Lawson, and Yuki Tsunoda took Liam's place in Racing Bulls, and obviously Lawson was upgraded to Red Bull. If we talk about Lawson, logical choice, of course. Did he prove himself? I would say yes. It was rather decent weekend for him. The sprint sessions and sprint not so much, but the main race he showed a decent pace, at least what the car was capable of. I think he did best that he could. And is there any chance for him to be in the Red Bull in the foreseeable future? I don't know. It will depend on Hadjar, because as we know, as I said in the beginning, Verstappen has now extended his contract, so definitely Verstappen is not going anywhere. And what about Isaac? We'll see how he will perform when he's back and what are his results. Is there a possibility that Liam could come back to main team? I don't know, maybe, hard to tell. But regardless, I think he drove a good race. He proved that he's, let's say, on par with Hadjar, and he can do good. So yeah, I think Lawson and Tsunoda did a decent job. They were not like magnificent or anything, like they didn't score podiums or something like that, but they did, let's say, what was probably asked from them. And also we have to remember that Tsunoda hadn't had any, let's say, laps under his belt with these cars, with new regulations. So with all the boost modes and then overtakes and electric motor and battery deployment and whatnot, he had to learn it all in one practice session, because of the sprint weekend, of course. And with that in mind, he did, I think, a very good job with the equipment that he had at his disposal. So I think overall good weekend for Lindblad and also for Tsunoda. So we'll see what will happen in the future, because we know there are a couple of seats who are probably threatened, and there might be some way back in for Tsunoda. Who knows? Yes. Yeah, I guess those are the big news. Okay, from the yellow pages, of course. Congrats, I guess, to Russell who got engaged. But it seemed that he actually, talking about Russell, he came back like a sort of with a good energy, and he's proved himself also in the sprint race. And he won the sprint race. It wasn't by a huge margin, but he did that. And I think sometimes if a person is happy in a good place, then also that shows on his results. And of course, this might be the case. He had a good session, good pace throughout the sprint race. He kept the lead and he went for it, and it turned out very good for him, and he seemed that everything was going fine. Of course, later in the main race, it didn't go so much to the plan, but overall, relatively good, not perfect, but relatively good weekend for George Russell. Leclerc, Norris, this is the sprint results, and Antonelli. From Antonelli, I think everybody expected more, but he damaged his car in, was it Q1, I think, so he was not able to set a competitive result in in Q3, but damage limitations, I guess, in the sprint race, and pretty much nothing much he could do because of the specifics of the track and no pit stops in it or nothing. So yeah, actually I must say that the sprint race itself, it was pretty dull. I think the only big question from the sprint race was that will Charles Leclerc's tires hold up, because he was the only one from top what was it, 14 or whatever, who was on the soft tires, and they did. And yeah, I think that was the only big action from the sprint race, because otherwise nothing actually happened there. It was, in my opinion, very boring sprint race, and yeah, the sprints were, let's say, on the tracks where there's very limited overtaking, and if you take the pit stop factor out of the race, there's nothing much left, in my opinion, and I don't understand why Zandvoort was the place where to hold a sprint race. I don't know, was it a farewell to the track or to the fans or whatever, but odd choice, in my opinion, to have a sprint race. But yeah, that was it, and yeah. And then we went into, later that day, into qualifying. These are the qualifying results. Of course, we know that Norris took P1, quite tight margins, especially if we look at, let's say, third from fourth place. It was like 30 milliseconds, 9 milliseconds, then 2/10. Okay, so Ferraris was clearly, I would say they had a better race pace than they had one lap qualifying pace, but yeah, both Ferrari drivers pretty much very close to each other, 6/10 only between them in the qualifying, so pretty much equal, I would say. But Mercedes and McLaren, they were the better cars under for one lap performance, and yeah, and then I would say for Lawson, this was also a good session. He was only 1/10 down from Verstappen. Obviously, in my opinion, good achievement. And yeah, I think for Lawson, this was pretty much what he could squeeze out of that car and out of those out of the circumstances. If he would have beaten Verstappen, that would be already like an overachievement, in my opinion. So and then again, pretty much the packing order as we could expect. A couple of drivers up, couple of drivers down, but overall, I think there are no big surprises here. And yeah, this was pretty much as expected. The big question was about the Aston Martins, because as we know, they brought a engine upgrade, let's say a B-spec engine for them from Honda or so on. They had issues, they were struggling, they were trying to, let's say, iron them out. It didn't go so easy, but pretty much I think the main race was a little bit of redemption. They still have a lot of work to do in order to be a frequent points scorers, and I think next week or next race weekend, I must say, in Monza, which is very, very fast track, as we know, it will be a struggle, even more struggle for them. But maybe they can figure out during these next 2 weeks something, and they can improve the car much more. But we'll see. We'll see. And as expected, Cadillac still at the very bottom, and they are the slowest team at the moment. And it seems that they are not making any progress anymore. And yes, they had also a management swap there during the summer break. Will it improve them? Probably not at the moment. And of course, we have to remember this is their first season, and they are, let's say, having all sorts of issues. They are slow, they have reliability issues, and so on. So they still have a long way to go, and they still are, I believe, the only team yet to score a point. But nevertheless, of course, they are trying. They are trying to become better, but it's not easy. And then, of course, going back to the main race and the results of the main race. So Norris didn't have the smoothest of the starts. He lost the position to Antonelli, and then, let's say, because of pit stops, and because of, I must say, also because of his own driving, he got back the first place. And Norris's overtake, I think, on Antonelli, that was just a brilliant move, or the move of maybe of the season so far. It was, let's say, he used, as he commented himself, that he knew that he's gonna commit. He knew that this is his chance, one of the only chances maybe, and he took the gamble, and it paid off. He said that he changed his brake let's say, the setup before the turn one, when he made the move, and he was preparing for the move. And then from the replay, what it looked like is that Antonelli was sort of going for the overtake for for Hamilton. It did not work out, and then Norris swooped in and overtook Antonelli. I think this was the case of experience versus youth, and experience won this time. Smooth maneuver there. Then he cleared Hamilton, and then off he went. And after that moment, he was basically untouchable and uncatchable. He just extended his lead and drove away. It was. There was, of course, let's say, attempts from Mercedes to get back using this VSC, but I think it was far too, let's say, fetched, and as long as McLaren wouldn't have any reliability issues, I don't think that the McLaren realistically would have been caught. So I salute to Mercedes for trying something, but not today. Lando pretty much controlled the race, had zero reliability issues. I think he was not even complaining over the radio for the tires, or about the tires, or about the drivability or anything. So yeah, he just got the job done. Of course, the big question is now, is the championship fight on? I think it's too early to tell, because this track and Hungary, yes, both of them, let's say, different type of tracks, but still not the fastest tracks, and we'll see what will happen when we go to more faster tracks. Let's say next week, next race weekend in 2 weeks, Monza, which is the I think the fastest track on the calendar. So we'll see how the McLaren stacks up there, but they show a good progress. And is it too late? Maybe, I don't know. Time will tell, because Antonelli also finished P2, and I think for Antonelli, interesting race, and overall for Antonelli and Russell, both of them on the podium. Of course, I would say Russell on the podium because of the late VSC. Without the VSC, he would not been on the podium, and I think I think for Hamilton it was sort of wrong place, wrong time, because I think on that lap when the VSC came on because of was it Ocon? Yeah, I think he would have. No, it wasn't Ocon. It was the debris from the Williams crash. Anyways, coming back, so he was, let's say, catching Russell, Hamilton, and he was, let's say, preparing the overtake move, and then the VSC came on, and then afterwards, I think, a little too late for Hamilton. He tried to overtake Russell, but there was nothing much he could do anymore. Russell did a good defense during those last couple of laps, and the Ferrari didn't have pace. They were quicker, of course, because Russell was on old hard tires, and Lewis was on also relatively old but soft tires, so he had the pace advantage, but not so much that he could overtake Russell. But coming back to Mercedes and Russell and Antonelli, Russell after the race said that let's say all good, and this was the team orders, and he understands it why. And I also, from team's perspective, I do understand, because Antonelli and Russell, they sort of were on different strategies, and Antonelli pitted under the VSC, but he could stay it out, and then he would be anyways ahead of Russell. So because of that, sort of the team made the orders to swap positions, and Antonelli was faster and Hamilton was closing in, and there was a threat that they could both lose places to Hamilton. So basically sort of sacrificing Russell's P3, or at least there was a threat of sacrificing Russell's P3 because Hamilton was closing in. So they let Antonelli by. At that time, it was already was it 10 or even 11 seconds? So there was no way, and some couple of laps. So there was no way that he could catch Norris. So it was sort of fight on the track between Russell and Antonelli, and Hamilton was closing in. As I said, from team's perspective, I understand. If I would be a Russell fan, I try to be, let's say, neutral. What's the word? Very hard word for me to pronounce. But I try to be, let's say, a observer from a side, not taking any sides here. But from Russell's perspective, I would be furious of this decision, because this was a track position. It was not like, I don't know, just, it was a decision of the team to pit Antonelli, so that put him into a different strategy. But was it Russell's fault? I don't think so. So in that sense, as I said, from team's perspective, I fully understand. From Russell's perspective, I would be annoyed. Although Russell played it out that everything's fine, he understands. There's team orders and different strategies and whatnot. They have discussed it, all good. Is it really? I don't know. We'll see. It seems that this for me, this moment actually seems like a turning point into championship. Sort of, I don't know. It seems that Russell is so happy with everything that's happening in his private life that he don't care about the track position and the points in the championship anymore. I know it's not true, but this is how it looks like at the moment. So he's happy whatever happens on the track. It was a weird one. I thought that Russell would have, let's say, fought back and argued back and whatnot, but he sort of let through Antonelli, and that's it. Yeah. I don't know how to feel about this case even. Weird situation. Team orders, and team was, let's say, deciding who will be P2 and potentially sacrificing Russell for P3 at the time. Yes, it worked out. Russell defended great and he got the P3, but it was not looking good at that moment. And I thought that, as I said, without the VSC at the end, I thought that Russell will lose his P3, and I believe that whole team also believed that most likely he will lose the P3. But yet they made the decision anyway. So they defended P2. Was it worth? Time will tell how the relationships between the drivers will go and what Russell respond to. Leclerc, Lewis, I think relatively good race from Hamilton. As I said, without the VSC, in my opinion, he would be on the podium. He wasn't. Okay, he's still on the fight. He put on the fight, good fight, and yeah. I think the Ferrari is at the moment the third slowest car, and the results just show it. That's all. That's all I have to say about Ferrari and Leclerc and Hamilton, I guess. Piastri, this one is a tricky one. Obviously, if we look at the numbers, so he's like, what, 16 seconds behind Ferrari? So he's way off from his teammate, 32 seconds behind at the checkered flag. Huge difference. However, yes, Piastri did not have the pace of Norris this weekend. True. And he has been on the back foot, I believe, for the last couple of races. Well, in Hungary, it was partially his fault, in my opinion. And then, well, it was all kinds of shenanigans with Piastri in Hungary, and ultimately the car gave up. Anyways, but I did not understand what the hell team is doing. To be honest, I didn't understand the strategy calls for Piastri. I truly did not, and this was a weird one for me. He was on hards. Then the red flag came on. Sorry. He was on hards again. He was left on hards. Okay, fine. You are committing to long first stint. Let's call it first stint, even technically probably it's the second stint, but still, let's call it after the red flag. There's a long stint ahead of him because he's on the hard tires. But then the team sees that he does not have a pace or whatever on the hard tires. Everyone is running away, so they call him in. And I thought at that moment they will switch the strategy and put him on the mediums at least. No, they put him on the hards again. I mean, short stint on hard tire. I didn't get it. What was the point? They were so desperate on trying different things so that they thought that, okay, YOLO, or I don't understand what was the reason for Piastri going from hard to hard to hard. It didn't make any sense in my head. Maybe I'm not an F1 strategist, obviously, and I don't understand anything, but it's just weird to me. It was just weird. The strategy decisions for Piastri. Okay, they understand that the hard is not working. Fine, change something, do something. But no, they put the new hards on and they let him out. Didn't he have any tires anymore left, or I don't understand. Honestly, this was the biggest mystery of the race for me so far. I didn't understand what the hell happened there. I truly didn't. Yes, he didn't have the pace. Fine. Change something, do something, try something else. Short stint on hard to replace with another set of hards. Don't understand. Maybe I'm stupid. I don't know. Anyways, lost on P7. I believe best that he could do. As we see, 79 seconds behind. So, like, yeah, he's of course on the back foot. And it's a shame. And here we can talk about Max, of course. In the first lap incident, he lost his car in the dump. and crashed and got crashed out. But it would have been interesting to see head to head Verstappen versus Lawson, and how big of a difference. We know that in qualifying it was 1/10, okay, but it would have been interesting to see on the long run, on the race pace, where how Lawson stacks up to Verstappen. Unfortunately, we didn't see it, so we just see that 79 seconds behind Norris, and that's it. I don't know what else we can say there. For Lawson, decent race, best of the rest in the sense. Nothing much he could do there. Fourth fastest car, finished in the 7th position. What else we can say? Nothing. He even himself admitted the lonely race. He was a little bit scrappy, and this was interesting to see in the first corners with the Verstappen. Their wheels even touched, so it was elbows out a little bit. So that was good. I liked it. He didn't screw up. So that's actually when first Max went off, and it was just like on the TV showing that Max is in the wall. I thought, oh God, did Lawson do something there? I don't know. took out his teammate or something. But no, all good. He was not there. This was totally on Max. He made a mistake and crashed in the wall. And Lawson just a good took a good evasive action, and that's it. And then he had a pretty lonely race, as he admitted himself. Then Hülkenberg, good race, also a good save after the first lap, when also Bartoletto had a spin, and Hülkenberg just missed him by, I don't know, a couple of centimeters. But anyways, decent race. What is it? 4 points for him on the board. Yeah, and decent result from Audi. And then, of course, Alonso. This is interesting, and unfortunately, I don't think there is apples to apples comparison anywhere here, because Alonso was the only driver who did only one stop. One stop after the red flag, or during the red flag, he did the stop, changed the tires, and that's it. And then he went on the long run on the hard tires until the end. So basically 1 laps, I guess, on one set of tires. And that gave him P9. So overall, we can say good strategy from them. But again, it's hard to compare his pace because he was all in totally different strategy, and hard to tell how competitive the car actually is, and how good or how bad is the car because of these circumstances that this race delivered. What else? Let's end it here. Last discussion. Gasly, I think a little bit disappointing race. He started 10th, finished 10th. So no, sorry, he started 11th. Okay, yes, he gained 1 position overall, but the Alpine looked really good in the qualifying and the sprint race. But then everything sort of, I don't know, something went away during the race, he got the point, but is he satisfied with that? I don't think so, because during the main race, it didn't go so well compared to sprint race. So yeah, I think that's all worth mentioning here. And then if we look at the Drivers' Championship, then Kimi Antonelli is extending his lead, and now Russell is in the 2nd place, 59 points behind. The same as Lewis, also 59 points behind. So anything can happen still, of course. And I think next couple of races will tell us. But yeah, this. At the moment, this is what it is, and I still, despite everything, Antonelli is extending his lead. Then Norris is now on P4. He has overtaken, I believe, Leclerc, and now 83 points behind Antonelli. So can McLaren and Norris put up a fight? Time will tell. I think in the next race with Monza, it will be much more clearer. Is this, let's say, as I said, Hungary and Zandvoort, sort of in a way similar tracks, let's say slow to medium speed tracks, and now we go to Monza, where actually I think and many others think that Mercedes should have a bigger advantage. So we will see how that plays out. But if also McLaren can be competitive in Monza, then I think that the championship might be still on. If they are not competitive in Monza, then I think that both Mercedes will drive away, and then the championship will be decided between those two. But we'll see. And then constructors, yes, Mercedes extending their lead over Ferrari, 87 points, and then McLaren 75 points, still behind. So a mountain to climb for them in order to try to get the constructors championship. I think Mercedes here more safe than they are in the drivers championship. I think that's what it is. So as I said, next race weekend is in Monza in 2 weeks. We'll see. Can Aston Martin be more competitive there? Can McLaren still be competitive there? Is there something up their sleeve for Ferrari, because this is their home track at the end of the day? However, we have Antonelli who has his home race there, and McLaren to prove that they can be in the championship fight. So there are a lot of things to prove for different teams, and I think the Monza will be very interesting and very exciting race from different points of view and also from different perspectives. So see you in 2 weeks. Thank you very much for listening, for watching, and let's hope that the championship battle will be on and we will have a stellar second half of the season. Thank you very much. Stay safe and bye-bye.